Hey team, welcome to the next fitness show. My name is Alexis Craig, and we have a great show for you today. Today, we are going to be having a celebration show for the summer solstice, and we're definitely going to go a lot deeper with certain pieces of it today, especially because summer solstice kind of overlaps on two other, I would say, significant events. One is Father's Day, so shout out to all the dads out there, and two is International Yoga Day. So on Sunday, June 21st, is International Yoga Day. This day always corresponds to the summer solstice. So, what I want to talk about today is the 8 limbs of yoga. Now, why are we talking about the 8 limbs of yoga? This is a fitness show, and you're right, this is a fitness show. But we're honestly, here at the Next Fitness Thing, we're way more of mind, body, spirit connection than just fitness, 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 right? And at the same time, the wisdom that is imparted through understanding what we're talking about when we talk about the 8 limbs of yoga, I personally find super valuable. So I just felt like this is a great opportunity to share this with you a little bit. Also, we have fitness yoga, and fitness yoga is basically the Western standard. And we're always saying yoga is so much more than just these poses. Yoga is so much more than just these poses. But we don't really usually actually talk about, well, what more is it than just these poses? So that's really what I want to get into today, is to actually share what are the 8 limbs of yoga so that you understand a bigger picture of what the opportunity is here to dive into a more full experience of yoga. Now, that said, I really also want to connect with you. So, right now, I can see there are many people who are here live. If you're here live, then please go into the chat and say hey. Right now, I can already see that Edie says hello. Mom says, hey, thank you for sharing. So happy to be here. Aaron's here and says hello. There are so many more of you here. So, I can only tell if you're here if you say hi. Otherwise, you're just a number. And if you are here, whether you're live or watching this as a recording, I really encourage you to go back to the previous screen and push the thumbs up button. It really helps. And if you are here watching the replay, or even otherwise, to not only engage with the chat, because the chat's only here if you're live, but to comment and share. Share. Nice. Megan's here and says hello. Awesome. All right, so let's dive in a little bit with the 8 limbs of yoga. Now, what even is this? Why are we talking about this? Well, the place where this comes from is from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Now, I am a yoga teacher and have been for over a decade now. Whoa, okay. And I honestly I would not really consider myself like a true expert in this. So I'm going to really share my perspective on it and what my understanding is. And yoga is a practice. So there is always more refinement. There's always more to learn. There's always further to go with it. So I would love to hear your perspective, even whether you're new to yoga or if you are a devout yogini. I would love to hear what you have to say on my perspective of the 8 limbs of yoga. Okay, so Patanjali is a true like guru of yoga. He lived around 2000 BC. Okay. No, sorry, 200 BC. 2000's a little far. So he lived around 200 BC, and he really helped to bring yoga more to the people. Before that, my understanding is that you really had to devote your entire life to yoga and go and like live in an ashram and, be fully devoted to yoga. And Patanjali really helped to allow for more people to understand and to be able to practice yoga, even householders like you and me, people who have a job and who have a life out in society and that kind of thing. Now, at the time of Patanjali, these practices were actually already considered ancient. So we might consider him ancient at 200 BC, but at his time, these practices were not invented by him. They were just really kind of recorded by him and offered to the people, but they were already ancient at the time that he was teaching them. So put that in perspective, like, whoa. Okay. And what I'm going to take you through with this eight limbs of yoga, it's kind of like here. It's I'm going to show you a picture of kind of the way I conceptualize it. Um, I think of it kind of like a tree with these limbs coming off of it. And I like this image of the tree because it shows the branches. Like if you were trying to climb to the top of the tree, you're going to climb up from one branch to another branch to another branch in sequential order. So you're not going to start at the top, right? You're going to start at the bottom and work your way up. So it's kind of a step-by-step understanding of how to live your life and what kind of values and really a framework. And there are eight limbs, and even, some people would even compare this kind of to, the Ten Commandments and that kind of thing. It's not really rules. You could think of it that way, but the thing is, when it comes to the eight limbs of yoga, this is really almost like instructions on how to live your life so that you can live a life that is really conscious, that's balanced, that's connected, that feels rewarding, that feels like you're connected in a larger way, whether that means to you, whether it's your understanding of God or the universe or a higher power or whatever it might be. But it's really instructions on how to have this experience rather than, follow these rules or else. Okay. So the word yoga itself actually means union, and it also means yoke. Yoke. So the way that I've been really feeling into that, and I think that we really think of this word yoga and union, and it sounds really, oh yes, the union with the divine, and it is all of that. But it's also a yoke. It's a way of yoking things together. And I have a picture here of what a yoke actually is. Okay? A yoke is like the wooden piece over these cows' shoulders. It's holding them together. It's also holding you or the plow or whatever to the cow. Okay. So the yoke is a way of uniting the energy so that when you are working in unison with these beasts of burden, and you are really like able to not only hold the whole thing together, but also control them. Okay. So I actually think that this piece is kind of important to the understanding of what we're practicing here. It's not just, it's like both. I love that this is both. I love that it's both. Yes, union with all that is, union with nature, union with your community, union with your partner in your community, with your family. It is that. And at the same time, it is a way of harnessing energy, and it is also a way of controlling the behavior to be best utilized. So that's kind of how I think of yoga as a yoke. All right, so let's actually get in. I'm going to show you the picture again of what the eight limbs of yoga are. Here is a graphic about it. So you can see it goes from yama to niyama to asana to pranayama to pratyahara to dharana to dhyana to samadhi. Okay, we're going to go into each one of these individually so that you have a little bit of an understanding of what we're even talking about here. And this is kind of like the guidebook of really understanding the step-by-step process. So the very first piece here is the first limb of yoga is yama. Yama means ethical restraints. So what this really means is how you relate to other people. This is how you behave in society, how you behave in relationship to others. There are 5 specific things that are asked for here. One is called ahimsa, non-harming. So it's like you're not hurting anyone. 2 is satya. This is truthfulness, like not lying. 3 is asteya, which is non-stealing. It also means that you're fair with people, like you're not exploiting anyone. 4 is brahmacharya, which is moderation. So that means that you're not acting in any kind of extremes. And 5 is a parigraha, which is non-grasping. And this is also kind of like not being greedy and also like not hoarding. So this is really a invitation to speak kindly to people, to not hurt others, to not compare yourself to others, to not even like live in illusion with telling the truth. It's an invitation to respect other people and to avoid overconsumption and also over hoarding and like taking more resources than you really need. So that's yama. That's kind of like this is how you relate to other people. From here, we bring it in a little bit, and instead of how you relate to other people, it's how you relate to yourself. So this is called niyama. These are personal observances. So these are honestly almost kind of basic. Maybe they're things that you already value, but it's an amazing reminder. There are also 5 of these. One is saucha, which is cleanliness. So this is like, could be as clean as personal hygiene. It also can mean, like in a modern sense, it could mean like keeping your calendar clean. It could mean keeping your energy clean. It could mean keeping your, you know, cleaning up your desktop and all the tabs on your computer. Speaking to myself. Ah, okay, the second one is Santosha. This is contentment and gratitude and acceptance. This is probably for me one of the most important reminders in this entire thing is to really like this is a path of self-improvement, right? And maybe I don't know about you, but I kind of hold this whole life as a life of self-improvement in a certain way. So practicing Santosha is a reminder to be content with where you are right now, even if you're trying to get somewhere else. So, this is a perfect way to relate this to fitness. It's like you may be on a mission to get in better shape in some way. And if you're practicing Santosha, it is an invitation for you to love your body as it is as you are pursuing whatever it is that you may be pursuing. It's also just it could mean the same thing with finances, the place that you live, your relationships. You could relate this to anything. So it's really about being content and grateful with what you have. It doesn't mean that you're not trying for more or something else. It just means that you're not suffering for not being there yet. Yeah. Okay. The third one is tapas. This is self-discipline. It's honestly willingness to do the work. So this is really the showing up. This is the energy of showing up, actually showing up. The next one is Svat Hyaya, sorry, the Sanskrit pronunciation sometimes get me, which is basically learning. It's self-study. It's learning, not necessarily, it could mean learning like, in school kind of thing, but it's really a lot about learning about yourself. Really like intimacy with yourself. And then the last one, number 5, this one's probably the hardest for me to pronounce, is Ishvara Pranidhana, which basically means surrender to a higher power. It also means devotion. It means that you trust that there is something greater than yourself and you trust in that. And I find that one so interesting. It's not saying God, although that might be your understanding of what it is. And I just feel like this has been such a fascinating piece for me at least, to understand like on a path of healing or on a path of looking to change in some way, especially when I've learned about healing from addiction and that kind of thing. There's so much leaning in to a higher power, leaning in to really trusting in something larger than yourself. And I know this can be a really big edge for some people. So it's just been so amazing to me how connected growth and trusting in a higher power seem to be consistently. So, okay, what we just talked about were the first 2 limbs of yoga. I'm going to go back to the tree so you can see what we're talking about here. And we just talked about the yamas and niyamas. Now, for a lot of people, this is like the most important thing. The yamas and the niyamas. Yamas and yama niyama. This is how you relate to others, how you relate to yourself. There's kind of 5 of each. So a lot of people really think of this as like 10 commandments of yoga. And I want to just remind you, it's not really rules. This is your instruction book. At least for me, it really helps me to feel like I have a lot more choice that way. I feel more in my power if I relate to this as the guidebook of best practices rather than do this or else. Yeah. Okay, so now we're moving on to the third limb. The third limb is asana. Now, this is the yoga that when you hear yoga, this is probably what you're thinking of, is asana. Asana is the physical postures. That's why when we are practicing, if you ever hear your yoga teacher say, this pose or that pose or this pose or that pose, often when they say the Sanskrit word for it, it is asana. It's like Shivasana. It's Gomukhasana. It is Utkatasana, Uttanasana, right? It's all of these asanas because the asana part of it is the word that means it's a physical posture. Now, Western culture has just completely decided that asana is what yoga is. And so that's what we really have. That's what we know. And what I'm telling you right now is, hey, there's actually there's 2 steps before you're supposed to get there. So if you go straight to asana and you haven't already really touched into the way you treat other people and even animals, and also the way you treat yourself, you're kind of like jumping ahead in the curriculum here. Edie says everything rhymes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. Rhyming ramble, we should just only have Sanskrit asana this time. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do this work. This week. I like it. No, here's the one thing I just want to point out with the asanas. The physical practice of yoga is Yes, it's great exercise, right? It's really good for helping your body to have flexibility and mobility and strength. It's helpful for you to have longevity in your body, for you to be able to get down on the ground and get back up and reach and hold yourself and balance and all these things. And really, what this was developed for was not just for exercise. The reason that the yoga asanas were developed in the first place is so that you could sit in meditation with as little pain as possible. It's so that you could practice breath work and be able to really expand your breath and contract your breath and have full access to your breath. So the asanas have kind of a means to an end that Western culture isn't necessarily really recognizing. So I would just say if you are into yoga as exercise, it is an invitation through the doorway that you are already kind of have a head start on being able to be a proficient meditator and to access some of these really beautiful realms of consciousness. Yeah. So that brings us to our next limb of yoga, which is pranayama. Now, you may have heard of pranayama. A lot of times in yoga class, if you're taking a, you know, yoga asana class, there's often pranayama included. Pranayama means breath control. Prana is really life force energy. So it's like using your breath to control your life force energy. Now, this is an amazing practice. There is so much more here than you might understand. Pranayama is really the practice of being able to control all of the systems of your body with your breath. It's not just like sitting there and practicing counting as you go up and down. It's not just for de-stress. It's like being able to alter your cardiovascular system. You can change your heart rate using pranayama, and that's the easy one. You can change your hormone levels in your body using your breath. You can alter your immune system in your body using your breath. You can alter your digestive system of your body using your breath. Basically, any system in your body, your neurological system for sure, for sure. And I'm sure I'm forgetting systems, but basically every system in your body can be altered and affected and healed really using your breath. So pranayama is amazingly powerful. And there are a lot of pranayama techniques. Most of the time when we're in asana class, at least in my class, we a lot of times do alternate nostril breathing where you're blocking one nostril and blocking the other and you're going back and forth. We do breath of fire, like exhale sharply through your nose, like, right? And even as we're in asana class, a lot of times we are just practicing the ocean breath, like the, I don't know if you can hear it on my microphone, but it is, just having that audible breath during class, that counts as pranayama as well. It does. It does. So if you have a certain experience of pranayama, I would love to hear it. If you can feel something that you would like to try to affect with your breath, I would love to hear that. Um, and yeah, so now pranayama is the step that comes right before the practice of pratyahara. Now, the practice of pratyahara is sense withdrawal. What does that mean? What I'm talking about here is this is the ability for you to turn your attention inward. This means that you are able to let go of paying attention to all of the things outside your body and also let go of the physical sensations of your body and actually be able to pay attention to your inner experience. That's what we're talking about with pratyahara. So it could mean that you can put down your phone. It could also mean that you are able to be alone. It means that you're able to like not have something you're listening to. It means that you can be with yourself. It also means that you're able to sit and not scratch and not fidget and not wiggle around and not be focused on the pain that you have in your lower back or whatever, and that you can turn your attention inward. This is a super important practice for the ability to to move forward from here. And I think this one, I actually think this is the most challenging like gateway in the 8 limbs for most people that I know. I'm going to include myself here. This is the most challenging one. It feels like our culture really keeps, I'm not even going to blame anyone else. I feel like I get pulled into something, whether it's wanting to scratch or wanting to wiggle or listening to something on my phone or paying attention to the people around me who want something from me. So Aaron says, oh man, no fidgeting. I know, I know, I know. So that's what this practice is. And I mean, I would just say if this is like an edge for you, to just consciously actually allow yourself to practice it. What would that look like? I mean, for me, sometimes just like we're still going to talk about meditation. We haven't even gotten to meditation yet. It could look like as simple as like being able to go for a walk or do something, you know, fold your laundry without putting on a podcast, without like needing something else, just letting yourself be there, even just sitting and waiting for the bus and just doing nothing else, but just sitting and waiting for the bus without looking at your phone. I know Edie was talking in her What's Up walk on Wednesday. She had her first one. It was really awesome. Honestly, it didn't record, so if you were missing that, so was I. Kathy's really upset that it didn't record too. So, we're just like a tech issue, whatever. But you come next week if you can. But Edie was talking about how many times do you sit, especially with people who are younger, and you're like sitting at dinner and you just want to have like an actual interaction with them, and they're just like on their phone. And you're like, hello. Can we just like be right here right now? Yeah, that's what this is. Edie says one thing at a time. Wow, yeah. Yeah, this is really a practice of one thing at a time. Pratyahara is a one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that actually. Good reminder. Okay, so there. Okay, one thing at a time. Beautiful. All right, so let's keep moving up the limbs. Our next practice is dharana, which is concentration. This is really being able to have a single pointed focus. This is an even deeper practice of one thing at a time. So, where pratyahara was more like being able to put down outside distraction, dharana is now asking you to really focus on one thing. And I'm talking like one thing. A lot of people use a mantra and that's their one thing. So they might just Om, 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 or Oh, Shakti, 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 Om. Like they have a mantra and that's the one thing. And they keep that one thing. Some people like to use like a um, physical, like a yantra, which is something that you would look at. And there have all these sacred geometry ones, and yoga has actually like the Sri Yantra is absolutely magical. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I wish I would have put that up here actually. Um, but it could also be that you're focused on one thing. Maybe it's your breath. Maybe you're focused on your breath. You're focused on inhale, exhale. I went to this meditation retreat, Vipassana. It's like 10 days of complete silence where you don't talk to anyone and it's not actually complete silence, but um, they have you for the first 5 days do nothing but focus on the sensation right below your nostrils. So you're meditating, sitting there, still, doing all of these things up to number, we're on number 5 right now? 6, we're on 6. So you do all those 5 up to now, and then you sit there completely still, and you just focus right here on the sensation of like the wind of your breath on your upper lip. And that's it for 5 days. The first 5 days is that's all you do. So you're basically refining your skill set of dharana. Yeah. And if this sounds extreme to you, you're like, what? I'm not sitting there for 5 days and just breathing. Yeah, right. Okay, okay. So what would it look like for you to do just one thing? Or to focus on just one thing at a time. Like right now, I'm focused on washing the dishes. Right now, I am focused on watch. If you're going to watch TV, you're focused on just watching TV without also being on your phone. And also, like for me, I'm like watching TV, eating, crocheting, like and all the things at once, right? If you're eating, you're focused on only eating. You're just chewing. Yeah. And if you're trying to actually affect some kind of change in your life, then just focusing on that. Like, I am focusing on my diet. I am focusing on my sleep. That's why a lot of us, when I'm like working on someone with coaching, I mean, I am usually encouraging them to only change one thing at a time because it gives you so much more power to really change it. Edie says mustache musings. Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I would like to hear from you. When's the last time you focused on just one thing? What is the thing that you've most recently done? One thing. One thing. When's the last time? One thing. Maybe it's driving. I know I'm usually listening to something while I'm driving. So I mean, I can't even say that. Um, maybe it's sleeping. When's the last time that you've done one thing? Put that in the chat. I would love to hear it. Okay, so we're up to 6 limbs. We're going to the next limb. This one, we just had Dharana, and we're going to, I think of this as Wonder Woman, Diana. Just like Wonder Woman is Diana. That's how I remember this one. Okay, this is, now we go to meditation. So before we got to meditation, we worked on our relationship to others, our relationship to ourselves. We worked on our physical body. We worked on our breath. We worked on being able to withdraw from our senses and to have a single pointed focus. Now you're asked to meditate. So if you're somebody who's like, I am not, like, meditation is not for me, I I would say you're probably right because meditation is step 7 and you might be at step 4. So if meditation feels like it's not for you, then I would go back to step 1 and say, how is my relationship to others? Oh, actually, I feel really good about my relationship to all these things. I feel really good about my relationship to community. I tell the truth. I don't hurt other people. I always make sure that I'm like compensating everybody well, and I'm not hoarding anything. Okay. What's my relationship like to myself? And I would go through these 8 limbs of yoga and see where my edge is, because it is an indication that you are actually probably, and I'm not saying this in any kind of judgy way, if you, but like, it may not, meditation may not be the right practice for you right now. Go back to the place where you feel like you have your edge. And it's not like, one thing I want to say with this is like, it's not like you achieve it and you just graduated from first grade and you're out of first grade and you never have to go back there. I wish. I mean, it's more of like yoga's a practice. And there's times in your life when things are challenging or confronting or circumstances change or whatever, where you might have to go back to step one, right? Like, I know for me, like the pandemic was a huge shift. There were so many things that changed where I maybe felt like I had so many of these steps kind of like dialed in the life that I was living up to that point, and then all of a sudden my life is completely different. And it's like I actually had to go back to step one. How am I treating the people around me now? Because it's completely different people around me. And we're stuck in this whatever. We're all stuck in the house, and am I treating them the way that I would want to be treated? So that's just an example, but I guess it's not like you graduate from it and then you're not there anymore. You kind of have to keep going back. All right, Aaron says, okay, here's the things that people can work on one thing at a time. Aaron says working out. Yeah, I can work out and not do anything else, although I often listen to something. And you're probably listening to me when you're working out. Although I would offer that if you are listening, if you're doing something like listening to a trainer when you're working out, the intention there is to help you to go more into the experience of your body. But if you are using the thing you're listening to escape the experience of working out, like if you're listening to a podcast to distract you from what your body feels like, then I would offer that there may be an opportunity there for you to go a little deeper. Edie says weeding the garden. Yeah, I love that one. I love that one. That's how I feel I actually feel like that about doing the dishes too. I feel like I could just it feels a lot like weeding the garden. It's satisfying. I could just do that. I can focus on it and do that one thing. It's very meditative for me. I can completely relate to weeding the garden. Totally. Okay, so let's go back to Diana. So this one is it's meditation. It is that single pointed focus that we were talking about in the last one, but at the same time, it's a little bit more it's a little bit more surrendered. I almost said relaxed, but I don't think that's accurate, at least for me. It's more that you're in a state of focused awareness, in surrender, in receptive mode. Whereas sometimes in that single point of focus of dharana that we were talking about, you can be in a lot more of an active mode. But in the dhyana, at least for me, I experience it more in a sense of being in receptive mode. I'm in this state of meditation to receive. I'm arriving there in a place where I'm really kind of empty and just open to see what arises, with a place kind of more like curiosity. Okay, so that is the seventh limb. This takes us to, it's like the peak of the pyramid, it's the top of the tree, and that is samadhi. All right, samadhi means union. Samadhi means integration. Samadhi really means this sense of connection, of wholeness. It's this feeling of unity. Now, you and even me may not have ever experienced this in your life. I would love to hear if you have. Do you feel like you have experienced samadhi? It's like completely 100% presence, focused awareness, where you feel connected to, fully connected to yourself, to your higher power, and to all that is. You feel connected and one with the world. Most people kind of experience this in glimpses. Like, it's not necessary, I mean, maybe some people can experience this as a walking around in the world way of being, and I hope I can do that someday too. Some people can experience this only through sex. Some people only with drugs. And I would actually say that people who want to do drugs are often really, at least in my experience, you're either using the drug to escape from something that feels horrible, or if you're like, oh, it feels so good, I love the experience of doing this drug, it is often because it gives you a glimpse into samadhi. That's my opinion. Um, this is allowing you to be really fully absorbed. Your experience, it's like flow state, 100% presence. And you can just feel like it's almost like it's not you. It's like it is you because you're one with all that is, but it's almost like the powers of the universe are moving through your body and you are just the vessel. That's samadhi. So experiencing samadhi is an absolutely beautiful thing. Absolutely beautiful. And all of these other practices are kind of like the ladder to climb one rung at a time to be able to experience samadhi. And the more skillful that you are at climbing this ladder and being able to move through these eight limbs, the more easy it is to get to this experience of samadhi. And this experience of samadhi is not just like, how do I say this? It's not like that you're getting away from everyday life. It's like that this bliss is everyday life. It's an integrated experience. It's not a removed experience. Have you ever experienced samadhi or what you think might be samadhi? I would love to hear. I would say I've had glimpses of it for sure. That meditation retreat I was telling you for 10 days, yeah. By the end, yeah. I didn't really want to leave. I was just so there. I could just sit there and just, ah. And don't get me wrong, days 3 through 7 were hell. But days 8, 9, and 10 were absolute bliss. And it was just easy samadhi. Yeah. So the whole point of the eight limbs of yoga is to provide a map for you to be able to get there. And I've really heard this described as this tree or this ladder. I definitely would encourage you to not think of it as an octopus. Like, it's not just here's 8 different things for you to work on. It really does feel progressive, like first yamas, then niyamas, then asanas. And you can use your intuition to feel of what you need in the moment. And another way to think of the eight limbs of yoga is like concentric circles or like the nesting dolls. What are those Russian nesting dolls that they like sit inside of one another, right? Or even maybe like peeling an onion, or maybe something where there's like the jewels in the center. Um, so the outermost circle is your connection. That's yama. It's connection to everything around you. And then you bring it in a little bit. And this is like this perspective, I learned this from, I think his name is Jason Cranston. I don't know if I'm getting his name right. But anyway, he's a yoga teacher in San Francisco and he's absolutely prophetic. And so I really got a lot from him. I can actually link his video because I'm probably saying his name wrong because it's not there right now. Anyway, so you're going from this wider view of like how I relate to other people, bring it in a little bit, niyamas, how I relate to myself, bring it in a little bit. How do I relate to my physical body? And then you bring it in to how do I relate to my breath? The way I'm powering my physical body, the systems of my physical body inside. And then you bring it in even more to can I experience letting go? Pratyahara is sense withdrawal, so that you're bringing it into withdrawing from your senses, withdrawing from needing to be focused in your senses of your physical body so that you can have an internal experience. And then you bring it into a place of concentration. You bring it in even more to a place of meditation. And then that is where the samadhi is all the way in. And I've heard it described as the jewel at the center of the lotus flower. And I love to remember my mom recently gave me these lotus seeds, and lotus grows in mud. So if you feel like you're in your life in a place of managing, wading through mud right now, good. That's where the lotus flower lives. And the jewel is at the center of the lotus flower. Yeah. So, so really, I hope this is helpful. I would love to hear if there's anything that you've taken away from this as far as something actionable or practical that you could actually use. I think for myself, just remembering that it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like if you don't have food and shelter, you're not like working on, I don't know, some attaining, you're not working on like, who cares what your fingernails look like if you don't have any food? Let's just say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're not worried about washing your car if you don't even have a house. Yeah. So really remembering to kind of um, check in with this as a step-by-step process. And you don't have to like believe in any kind of spirituality in order to find value in this. So, I don't know. That's the 8 limbs of yoga. I hope that you have a little bit better understanding of what yoga even is, because this really is what yoga is. Edie says, we are very layered and every layer counts. Beautiful. That is a beautiful way to think of it. I think I absolutely agree with that. We are very layered. There's so many layers, right? I just only named 8 and there's so many. There's so many layers. I don't know, that's kind of the fun of it. All right, so that brings us, the time has come for our stretch break. So it is time for our stretch break. All right, what do we have for a stretch break this week? Our stretch break, I picked yoga stuff because we are in International Yoga Day on Sunday. So our stretch break this week, wait, I gotta make sure I pick the right one. There it is. Features Kathy, and it is seated figure 4. Okay, I picked this too because we've been working on this a lot. We did this in seated yoga this week. P.S. If any of you are not part of the Next Fitness thing, we're like a wellness platform. We have lots of workouts and all kinds of stuff like that. So in our seated yoga class this week, we practiced seated figure 4. Now, Kathy makes it look easy to get into this position and bow forward. That is not my experience. I get into this position and I'm like, oh, especially right now. We also have the TRX challenge going on right now. And in the TRX challenge, we worked lunges like crazy. We also did a figure 4 single leg squat that was like this, but strength and stretch at the same time. So I wanted to really be able to talk about the seated figure 4. I love this one because it gives you a chance to stretch even in an environment where it might not feel like exercise is appropriate. Like you could do this at your desk at work. You could do this sitting in the car. You could do this maybe on an airplane, maybe, depending on who your neighbors are. But definitely in the airport. Definitely in the airport. You could do it sitting waiting for the bus, right? You can do this sitting on the couch watching TV. So I would encourage you to do it right now. Bring your ankle to cross over your other leg. Maybe you cross at the ankle. Maybe you cross at the thigh. The piece that's pretty important is to keep your foot active. So you can see how Kathy, she has her hand on her foot part of the time, but she's spreading her toes apart and really dorsiflexing her foot. Mom says how to prioritize is the question. Yeah, so I guess the prioritizing piece with this um, 8 limbs is like you start at limb 1, so your relationship to other people is limb 1. I think it's really interesting they have that before your relationship to yourself. Anyway, um, this is a stretch of your glutes and your outer thighs, and if your knees are unhappy, especially from sitting, or if your lower back is unhappy from sitting, this is a good one. You could do it lying on your back in bed too. All right, if you're physically doing this right now, switch to the other side. I will say the bowing forward part is not mandatory. You can do the legs and only the legs without the bow, and it is absolutely beneficial. Okay, now stay there perhaps while we switch gears right now. So we are going to switch gears to our move of the week. Our move. Oh, hold on. I got things going on. All right, here we go. I got screens. Things are happening. There we go. Move of the week. All right, the move of the week this week is this is a nemesis move. A lot of people hate this one. I have a mixed relationship with it, honestly. It is reverse plank. How do you feel about reverse plank? Drop the reverse plank. Here, what are your feelings on reverse plank? Drop that in the chat. I want to hear. For me, oh, this one's so challenging. Okay. This is a very advanced move, I will say that. But this move has been showing up in our Pilates classes, and I wanted to be able to address it. Okay. How would you make this more accessible? One thing you could do is a hip bridge. So lie on your back, put your feet down, lift your hips up. This is essentially a very advanced hip bridge, total body hip bridge instead of just hips. So if your shoulders are absolutely a no for this, then the hip bridge is an okay way to regress it. Now, that said, there's a lot of benefit to doing this, of bringing your shoulders into extension. So for shoulders, reaching up is flexion, reaching back is extension. So being able to reach your shoulders back into extension and support yourself is a valuable skill. So what would it look like for you to do that in a little bit of an easier way? Well, one option is to do it in your chair. So like right now, if you're sitting in a chair, you might want to put your hands onto the edges of your seat and see if you can scoot your butt forward. And maybe you could scoot your butt like if as though you're going to do a tricep dip, and you place your feet firmly on the floor and see if you can lift your hips up off of your seat by pushing your hands down. Maybe it just comes up an inch. And then over time, you're going to practice lifting your hips up more from your chair. Now in this video, you can see that Sherry is looking up. That's more advanced. It's okay if you need to tuck your chin and look at your belly button. And for some people, your neck just might not be okay with looking back, and that it's totally fine. The other thing you can do here is bend your knees. So that would be more like a reverse tabletop instead of reverse plank. And that's absolutely appropriate. Now, the number one thing I see go wrong in this move is the posture. The tendency is you're stressed out in your upper body, so you're kind of like in this protected turtle in the shell situation, and I would encourage you to avoid that. So you want to pull your shoulders down and back, and then lift into extension. So keep your posture open as you do this. Okay, Aaron says, I love and hate depending on how my body feels. Yeah, exactly. That's 100% where I am with this too. Like, it's like if I'm not sore, I can feel, oh, I'm opening everything up. It feels so good. And sometimes even for me, the past couple of years has been really intense in certain ways for me. And my fitness practice wasn't really what it normally would be. And so I recently practiced this reverse plank. And even in our Pilates class, we have a version where you lift a leg in the reverse plank. And it was like so hard. That's part of why I wanted to bring this up, is because I was like, oh man, okay, okay. So if you're having that experience, you're not alone. It's kind of normal, but you can get there. Building strength into the backside of your body is a very valuable thing to do. It'll help you with your posture and it'll help you be pain-free. So yeah. All right. Those are our moves and our stretches, all the things. Let's see some announcements of the next fitness thing. Okay, I just want to um, remind you that we do have this TRX challenge going on. We're not even all the way through the first week right now. So if you wanted to join and you didn't yet, you absolutely still can. You go to the nextfitnessthing.com/TRX to join, and it's been awesome. Honestly, this is probably I maybe I always say this, but I really mean it. This is probably my favorite challenge I've ever done, ever. I've been doing music in class and also like using AirPods. Thank you, Kenny, for hooking me up with that. So that I can basically put music on while we're doing it, and I can also physically participate, and we can move to the music. It's great. That part has been awesome. It's been like challenging. I've left with my face like beet red every single time, but at the same time like doable. So anyway, if you haven't, I understand the straps are maybe expensive and that might be a barrier for people, but if you're interested in this and you want to figure out a way to do it in an affordable way and find straps that are affordable for you, hit me up and I'll help you. Otherwise, I can get you 15% off if you want to buy them new. But there's other ways. So just saying. All right. So that's the TRX challenge. Also, this weekend, tomorrow is summer solstice. So tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, we're doing the summer solstice walk. This is a celebration, and it's really the celebration of the beginning of summer. Today is the last day of spring. Tomorrow's the beginning of summer. So be there. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific. Before this, we have yoga and bar. So maybe spend the whole morning with me tomorrow. All right. Also, book club. Book club is coming up. It's on June 28th. So it's not this Sunday, it's the following Sunday. And I started this book. It's really cute. And Casey is leading this. And either get reading or get listening if you're doing the audiobook. I've been listening to the audiobook just on YouTube. There's multiple free versions of the audiobook on YouTube. So just saying, if you just sourcing the book was the problem, go get it. All right. And joined the Discord. I actually do have one more. I want to shout out Edie's class again. Edie's class is on Wednesday. It is at 2 p.m. Pacific, and it is called the What's Up Walk. Now, it did not record randomly, and come live if you can. This is normally Anna's class, so Edie is helping out in a major way right now, covering for Anna while Anna gets to spend time with her baby. And Edie last week talked about brain fog. What is up with brain fog? It was honestly super enlightening and really fun. So I don't know what next week's topic is going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be something good. So, Edie, get there. Get there and join Edie. Edie is here in the chat right now saying, Summer's coming! Lots of good stuff happening. Totally. Totally with you. Okay, and if you're not in our Discord server, make sure you join. I will make sure the link to join the Discord server is in the description of this video. And also for those of you in the challenge, please go in and make comments on the challenge questions in the Discord server. That's like, I don't know. I love that part. It's really fun. All right, I have one more thing just real quick. This is a shout out to a product that I just wanted to bring to your awareness. It's very topical for this, and it is a Zafu. Now, I always thought Zafu was like a brand name. Apparently, it's not. It's actually the description of what this is. So, it's basically a meditation cushion that's circular, and you can use it in a lot of different ways. So, you can sit on it so you can kneel. It's basically to help you to feel more comfortable when you're meditating. So, whether you want to meditate kneeling or seated, or you can also use this as a yoga prop. So it would basically replace a bolster. You can see this lady on the bottom left using it to lie on her back and get into a reclined back bend that is supported. If you have a Zafu, I would love to hear and see it even. I am personally crocheting a Zafu right now so that I have one for myself. We'll see how it turns out. I don't know. But I don't have one yet. I've used them a lot to meditate, when you go to group meditations and things like that. And I always wanted one for myself, so I'm making it. Um, Edie says she still clearly requires tech support. And she has a fun topic planned for this week. Awesome. The other thing I thought was really interesting in showing this Zafu was actually that there is not only the round cushion itself, but the square pad underneath it so that your knees don't have to be on the ground. So just saying, if you feel like meditating is just too painful and that's the barrier for you, first of all, you already did the other however many limbs you have to get to that point. But just having a better meditation cushion really might be a solution for you. So just consider it. And I would say if you're looking for setting a space in your home where it's a dedicated space to meditate, then having something like this where it is like a cushion, the square cushion to set the space, and then the actual pillow to sit on, it kind of creates a little spot that'll help you to focus better because every time you sit there, it's time to focus. Anyway, so that's a Zafu. If you want one, go find one. I'm not selling them or anything. I'm just telling you what it is. All right, that brings us to the end of the show. Happy International Yoga Day. Happy Summer Solstice. Happy Father's Day. There's probably other things, but it's been great. Oh, I do have one other quick announcement. Um, the TRX challenge is on Fridays at 5 Pacific, right? This week, it somehow didn't end up on the schedule, but starting next week, while the TRX challenge is happening, we are having Brain Teaser Walk at night also. So if you want to come to Brain Teaser Walk twice, or if you can only make it at night, then after the TRX challenge at 5:45 p.m. Pacific, you can come to Brain Teaser at night on Fridays. That's it. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.